Hey, welcome to the Really Charlie podcast. Today's guest is my friend, Stephen Taylor. This dude is definitely, he still got me laughing. I know I haven't worked with him in years, but I laugh every day because of this dude. Some story coming from our mutual friends, and it always leads to Steve Taylor, Willie, David Casaccio, and it just goes on, man. So,
Oh man, you got me sweating already, Charlie. I'm sweating already. Holy cow, man.
no,
Holy cow,
uh,
man. Charlie, how you doing, man? It's great to see you, buddy.
I'm glad to see you as always. Um, been waiting to do this podcast with you only because of trying to give you your flowers while you're standing, man. You know,
I don't know how much longer that's going to be, but no,
uh,
I really appreciate it, Charlie. Hats off to you, man. I really enjoy what you're doing. I'm a big podcast guy.
yeah,
I listen to him a lot when I'm running, and you're doing a great job. So I really appreciate you having me on. Definitely, I'm sure we'll have a few laughs at other
yeah,
people's expense, right?
that's it, that's it. Um, hey, um, years ago I took some glasses from your ex partner Willie, and yeah, I, I,
Oh man, those
hey,
yeah,
he,
those are definitely his style. That's for sure,
yeah,
man.
he's you know how he is, man. I
I
but
miss my man Willie. That's for sure.
that's it. I'm glad y'all were partners. And it had a lot to do with me. I take that credit, man. I take that credit so much, man.
Oh man. Well, Charlie, if you do it, so there was one thing before I forget, I wanted to bring up. Um, I don't know if you remember that time we went away on a conference to Rochester, New York. It was me, you, and Willie,
Yes.
and we went out, and uh, I'd never laughed so hard in my life, and it was just so infectious and so over the top. And I do remember you, Charlie, where you were in tears the whole night from just
I
me and
was.
Willie going in on each other. And it was, was that 16, 17 years ago? And
It's
it is still
pretty
vivid in
close.
my
Yeah.
mind how you were in tears. I thought we were going to have to bring you to the hospital, man. You
Oh,
were, you were
definitely.
tears.
If if we,
But yeah,
I,
so I'm fortunate to have been partners with my man Willie Coates.
yeah.
It's sadly it's coming into an end, but I'm grateful for the opportunity that we had. Definitely.
Oh yeah. I hope one day you guys get together and uh don't write the book. Just have somebody else write the book.
I told him when he's retiring, and he's probably going to retire to North Carolina, South Carolina, somewhere. He's going to
Yeah.
be on a porch somewhere. And I told him, I'm just going to show up one day. I'm going to be 75, 80 years old. He's going to be on the porch, shotgun across his lap. And I'm going to haunt him. Told him I was going to be his roommate for the rest of his life. He didn't go for that too much.
Yeah.
But,
Just
oh, man,
what?
it's
Hey,
so funny, Charlie.
you know how much money he has, so we're gonna set him up. We'll set him up, and put him. We'll find a relative of yours somewhere down south, and we're gonna put him right on the border of your relative's land or something like that. And
Oh man, that
and and you
too
could just
much. I'm
just
glad. See, I don't want to get you in trouble with the FCC. You know
yeah,
what I'm saying? I don't want to get you banned. So I'm gonna keep it light. I'm not gonna say everything I can say. I don't want to harm any unintended parties at all. So yeah,
yeah.
we'll keep it light today, definitely.
All right, yeah. We'll keep that other stuff when we're sitting on Willie's porch.
Yeah, we'll do a barber shop, right? Let's get a
Yeah,
barber
yeah.
shop
We'll
together.
do
You know
do
what
a
I'm saying?
barbershop, man.
We'll do a round
The
table with Dave Consatio, Rob Mendes,
Yep.
maybe Willie, Ryan. He'll be yeah. there'll be some stories told.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and a lot of pleading the fifth too.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Hey, one of the most incredible story. I mean, obviously, it's your career. You know, um, outstanding career. Got the Chiefs Award. 2 years ago. Well deserved. And you probably didn't want it, but
Mm,
I'm just letting you know that that was well deserved. You done so much things that probably hasn't got any praise over the years. So collectively, you put them all together. Guess what? You got that award.
mm.
And it's we all think highly of you. And let me see. I wanna before I put this comment on the screen, I want to talk to you about um, Team Owen. Could you kind of explain that to the listeners and viewers? And
Sure.
why you got involved in it?
Yeah. So, Team Owen. So, um, I guess I'll start from the beginning. Yeah, I'd always liked to run. I always liked sports growing up. I always, basketball, baseball. I played all the time, but um, I wasn't the greatest athlete. I could play ball. I could play, but I couldn't run fast, couldn't jump
Yep.
high, wasn't strong. But there was one thing that I really excelled at was just staying out there all day. I had endurance.
Hmm.
I could play all day for whatever reason it was. So, um, that was one thing that I don't know, that we all get certain gifts, I guess.
Yeah.
And that was mine. So um, I don't know. Someone can't hear me.
Yeah. Dave's saying he can't hear you, but I got you pretty loud and clear, man.
All right, man. Well, tell him to turn his hearing aid up. Shoot, he's trying to interrupt me already. So, um, yeah. So I ran a lot. I went into the service, and I was in the Air Force for a couple of years, and I really started to like running. Outdoor running, and but then I kind of got lost along the way.
Hmm.
Battled my demons. I've had my issues throughout my life, and kind of got lost in the shuffle there. And then I was able to get some help. I was able to overcome some things, and I started running again. This was about 2001, 2002, and I ran a Boston Marathon a couple times, ran a couple other marathons, and I really I really enjoyed it. And then so fast forward about 4 or 5 years, um, I struggled again. I
Yeah.
had a slip, and there was some dark times, Charlie. Really, really some dark issues, and I had great support around me, and I had great friends and everything, and you know um, through no great thing by me, I was able to find the right path again. I got back on track, and so about that was about 2008, and about I think it was December of 2008. Andy Simmons, um, my brother officer on the department, and
Yeah.
his wife Heather, um, they had a son Owen, and I believe it was in December he was diagnosed with a disease called SMA, which is spinal muscular atrophy,
Hmm.
and it's a terrible disease. It's the number one genetic killer of infants. 1 in 40 people are genetic carriers of this gene. Um, so but it's a disease that no one knows about, or really, at the time. And I um, I didn't know what it was, and I remember there was an email put out by someone in the department, and I saw this spinal muscular atrophy. I'm like, oh, what is it? And I remember that I looked it up, and I was like, oh my god, man, this is a terrible thing for Andy and Heather, and they're just wonderful people, just
Yeah.
wonderful people. And at that time, I remember I was out for a run, probably about a week later, and a long run, and that's when I do some of my best thinking,
Yeah.
alone, and I'm out there, and something popped into my head, and why don't I do something for Andy and Heather, and for Owen, to see if honestly, probably a little selfish for me, to try to keep me on the path, but also, just try to make some worth out of it,
Yeah.
try to share. And I had seen this movie called Running the Sahara, and I had never heard of ultra marathons before. Really, I'd heard of triathlons and some pretty other crazy stuff, but I had never heard of ultra marathons. And this movie was about three guys who ran the Sahara Desert, and it's just this confluence of that, what was happening with Owen. I had this little spark of inspiration, and
Hmm.
I'm it was grateful. So long story short, I thought everyone, anybody can run a marathon, really, so I said, let me try something a little bit more extreme, which is probably my personality. And so I signed up for a 50-mile race in 2009. And I ran this race. It was outside of Washington, D.C., in the trails along the Potomac River. And I loved it. I
Yeah.
loved it. I loved the distance. I finished in enough time where I qualified for a race called the Western States, which is it's probably the Super Bowl of ultra marathons. It's a 100
Hmm.
mile race through the Sierra Nevadas in California, through the mountains, Squaw Valley. It's just an amazing race. And um,
Now you
I
did
was
that
able to
twice, right?
qualify. But
You
the,
did
the
that.
problem is, you qualify, I got in twice, yes. And the chances of getting in are just like infinitesimal, just like, I think it was the first year I tried to get in, there was a 7% chance. There's a lottery to get in. And by the grace, man, I got in that first time, and I didn't know what to expect. And so I got into Western States, and that was June of 2010. And I remember that race. There was a life-changing experience for me. Again, it was 100 miles of just running through the most beautiful parts of the United States. The race starts at the bottom of Olympic Village, Squaw Valley, where the 1960 Olympics were, and you go straight up the mountain, straight up Squaw Valley to about 9,000 feet, the top of escarpment. You turn around, you look, and then there's Lake Tahoe right behind you, and the sun's coming up, and it was just the start of just this amazing, amazing day. And I can remember so vividly wherever I was, like to this day, it was
Yep.
this intense and this important to me, that I remember that race so vividly 11 years later. It was brutal. It was tough. It was hot. I had no idea what I was doing. I was kind of like, there wasn't a lot of people around here doing those kind of distances back then.
Yeah.
So I was basically training, haphazardly. And, you run 100 miles, you have 30 hours to complete it. And I finished in, I think my first year I did it in 27 hours, right around that time.
Wow.
And it was just an amazing, amazing experience. I get goosebumps thinking about it now because, I was running for myself, but prior to that, I had run. Prior to the race, I had collected a bunch of Facebook friends and signatures of people who had children who had died from spinal muscular atrophy or were living with spinal muscular atrophy. And I had the names, and I carried it with me the whole race. I had a list of, like, I still have it it's in my desk somewhere. It's in here
Wow.
somewhere. It's one of my most cherished mementos. It meant so much to me that I was able to run for these kids. I was able to prove to myself that um, I could change as a person also. I could
Yeah.
be a better man, but also, I could try to give back a little bit. And I after that race, myself, Heather, Gillian, Samson,
Yeah.
Claudia, we all kind of brainstormed, and we wanted, this to continue. We wanted Team Owen to continue, obviously. Um, Sadly, Owen passed away in, I believe, late November of 2009. but his memory still lasts, to this day. He's done so much for me, made me a better person, made me a better man, to
Mhm.
try to be selfless. I made amazing friends. Andy and Heather are just amazing people. Um, Team Owen, every year, our signature race is the New Bedford Half Marathon. And every year you'll see a crowd of people in blue, running the streets of New Bedford for Team Owen. And
Mhm.
it really caught fire. The first couple of years, it really caught fire. We were having 150, maybe 200 runners each year contributing to Team Owen and then running on behalf of Owen. Um, and all the money, I'd be remiss if I didn't say this. I met some amazing people. The Gwendolyn Strong Foundation, Bill and Victoria Strong from Santa Barbara, California. They had a beautiful daughter, Gwendolyn, who was also had spinal muscular atrophy, and she miraculously lived till she was, I believe, 8 years old. But their foundation does amazing work, and all the money we've raised for Team Owen had gone for research for spinal muscular atrophy.
Wow.
As of right now, we still fundraise. The race has been, postponed the last 2 years, but we've raised over $135,000 to help find a cure for spinal muscular atrophy. Just some amazing
Awesome.
people who have, given. It was very grassroots. Not a lot of corporate sponsors. Not a lot of Uh, corporate help. It was basically just this groundswell of people who just wanted to run, but also wanted to, run in the memory of Owen. And, it's truly a life-changing experience for me. And I'm so grateful that I was, sadly, Owen had passed. And, but I'm so grateful that I met so many wonderful people along the way. And we've been able to hopefully honor him and, honor the parents of children uh, that are afflicted by this terrible
Yeah.
disease, you know.
Yeah,
So
it's
that's about kind of the long story short of it.
no, that's a great story. The I remember when all of you were crossing the finish line uh and just that sea of blue and people coming in, and I mean there it seemed like everyone's going to be excited about crossing that line, but it was just a little bit
Mm,
extra. It was a little bit extra that they were doing it for Owen, and the shirt speaks for itself, Team Owen. And until this day, I mean, I still go on your page, to look at some of those pictures, um, and just in awe, in awe. But great job on your part, on the whole team's part, and Heather and Andy are definitely what you say. They're great people, and watching, seeing, Andy's a little younger than me, and he just watching him progress through his career, and I'm very proud of
mm.
him, and it's I can't even think about losing a child. Never mind.
Yeah,
It's
Charlie.
just
And it's just devastating. I can't even imagine. But um, you know, Heather and Andy, to share their child, share their grief with us. That
yes,
that was so huge of them, and I always tried to be careful of doing too much or doing something that um, maybe was too much for them.
yeah,
And
hmm
but just amazing power, grace, dignity, and that has been my experience with so many of these people that I've come in contact with who have, children who are sick, who have real problems, who have
yeah,
real
yep,
issues, real things, not this petty stuff like, I'll be the first to complain about, anything, like people who have real significant problems, and just the strength that and the dignity and having to deal with a sick child, and it's truly amazing. Like the Bill and
sure is.
Victoria Strong, Ralph Isherwood from locally, just amazing people that I've come in contact have sadly been afflicted by this disease.
It's it was nice to see you, and especially, how I feel about you and as a person, go through all this, and you know what, one of the saddest things that you ever told me is when you had that injury. Was it to your knee,
Mm.
that little bone you said, and you talked about not running again, not doing it again, and I was like, wow, what? I mean, that's like taking a
Mm.
limb off of you. Like, how can you take that away from Steve? And I thought about it for a while, and I was thinking, and then a few years back, maybe 2015, 16, you had told me things are getting better. So, that was good. That I heard that, and but
Yeah, I've had some. There's probably not a lot of tread left on the tires, to be honest with you. This one of my knees is pretty well shot,
yeah,
but I'm still moving. I'm training for a 100-mile race in September. I'm
good.
going out to or I ran this race Pine to Palm in 2014, and it's just beautiful course out in Oregon. Through the Sissecow Mountain Range in Southern Oregon,
Yep.
and yeah, we'll see. I've let myself go with COVID. I got about a COVID 20 pounds hanging around, but hey, we'll give it our best effort and see what's going on here.
Exactly. Um, one of our friends, he's a great, great, great softball pitcher, and so he likes to kind of, he's good softball pitcher, yeah, as I said. So, when this guy's throwing you a pitch, says, tell Steve we can't hear him talking to the mic, right? So,
Man, I'm talking. Vitaly, can you hear me? What do you want? You can
yeah, I
talk.
can hear you. I can hear
You
you.
can hear me, right?
But, and then he gives us
Yeah, he's
this,
always
right?
had problems with his ears, I think.
Yeah. Over here, he says, by the way, two of the best right there. So that's one of his softball pitches, And so, and then, then he continues, right? And then he gives you this.
He knows. He knows. Oh
Yeah.
man, that Dave. Hey Charlie. It's so funny. Like I was thinking about like what I'm going to talk about. Uh, I've been I've been blessed. Like what's the saying, right? Show me your friends and I'll show you your future. Show me your
Yeah.
friends and I'll show you who you are as a person.
Hmm.
And I've been blessed. I really have been. I have tremendous friends. I've had a tremendous career. Like
Sure have. Yep.
I've had a really, really fortunate career. I've loved what I've done. I've. It was funny, like when if you want to hear the Willie story, some of the
Yeah.
some of how me and Willie got going. Um, so I knew. So I got out in '92,
Yep.
and I knew Willie, and we worked together for a little bit. And Willie, he was so like, and we worked midnights together, and we worked in a cruiser, and he was just so quiet, and he was
Yep.
so to himself. So I was like, all right, man, all right. This guy's kind of quiet. He's kind of reserved or whatever, And so through the years, we would work together, and I always thought he was a really good guy. I heard nothing but good things about him, but like we weren't friends, like we weren't
Yep.
hanging out but we were just comfortable around each other. And it was so the school resource officer program was going to begin, and you were selected for Keith, and myself and Willie was selected for New Bedford High School.
Yep.
And I was like, it's a big step, like changing assignments in law enforcement. Like you get comfortable
Yep.
doing, what you're doing. I was comfortable doing patrol, but then I talked to a few people and they're like, hey, this is a very good opportunity. We think you'd be really good for this job. And so it was funny. So me and Willie, we didn't really know each other, but like being a partner with somebody is you spend 8 hours a day with this
Yep.
person, probably sometimes even more.
Yep.
And so there was some trepidation. I'm like, oh man, like we're gonna be together all the time. Like, how's this gonna work? And it was funny. So the first couple days, the first day we were together, we're just easing into it, this and that. Second day was 9/11. That was our second day at work. If
Yeah.
you remember, Charlie.
Yes.
And hold on, my dogs are going crazy over here.
All right.
Quiet. Enough. See that? See that?
That's it.
Oh man, that's that command performance right there.
Hey,
So
that.
the second day was 9/11, and
Yep.
it was it it was very traumatic, obviously, for the students and for the staff there, and um, so it kind of like put a little crink in the plans. But what was funny about like us going into the school is, um, like there was a little bit of trepidation about having cops in school at the time. They're
Yeah.
like, oh, you guys wear guns, you wear that, the kid. But I'll tell you what, Charlie, within a week, 2 weeks, we were part of the fabric of the school. You
Yeah.
know, we fit right in, just like you fit right in with Keith, just like the rest of the SROs in the program fit in with the schools. And it was because we were there just as other concerned adults. Just as we weren't there as an occupying force or
Yeah.
there to like impose our will. We were there to to counsel, to mentor, and to try to make a difference with some of these kids. And the kids took to us right away.
Yeah.
Like the toughest kids, they would come into our office all the time. We had food, we had treats or whatever, but they would come into and a lot of it was, they would just, a lot of times they just needed an adult to talk to. And we had that time, it wasn't
Yeah.
like patrol. You had to go from call to call. So you couldn't spend that time with a kid. And,
True.
but like getting into like, so within a week, 2 weeks, within a week, a couple of days, I looked at Willie, I said, this is going to work. And I meant that between me and Willie,
Yeah.
we are like the odd couple. Like
Mhm.
Willie is quiet and reserved. I'm a little loud. I can be obnoxious.
Uh-huh.
Willie's neat. I can be a little messy.
Uh-huh.
We're just total opposites. But when it came down to the work, talking to the kids, what was right or what was wrong, how we felt about a situation, we were always in agreement with how things should be handled. We had the same, I don't know, same views on how things should be, how kids should be treated.
Yeah.
How adults should be treated, and it worked, and how I think we ingratiated ourselves with the kids and with the staff was our laughter.
Yeah.
Our interplay with each other. We'd go into school every day, and we walked the core, and we were just laughing and joking with each other, and then talking with the kids, and they would see us laughing and joking and just being regular people in uniform, fully armed,
Yeah.
but they got to see that hey, these guys, they're just regular human beings. We're not here to be an occupying force or anything like that. We're here for the benefit of the kids, and I think that broke down a lot of walls. Just our interactions, and it was
True.
the same way when Ryan came aboard later on. Ryan Bland, he's still there at the school.
Yeah.
And Ryan's the same way. Ryan was my friend before. We were really close before he even came into the school, and and before that, Buck Nasty was there. Dave
Uh-huh.
Casaccio, he came when Willie willied me and let me know last minute that he was going into the military for some training. We had to scramble, and
Yep.
it was funny because here's another thing with Dave. I knew Dave from high school. I think he stole my lunch money one day. I think he used to bully me. I don't
Uh-huh.
like to say it, but Dave was with the ice crew and everything like that, and he was a bad dude. But
Yep.
I loved it. Was so when Dave got on, he got on in like 2000, and I think 2000, and I knew Dave and I knew him from the Boys and Girls Club, and I knew he was great in the community. You know, people looked up to him, and then when he got on the job, you know, I started hearing good things about him, like being what kind of police officer he was.
Yep.
And so when I heard that Willie was going to be leaving, you know, I was like, listen, I'm not going to work this job unless I have somebody who I trust, who I can work with, who's in the same ballpark with me. And the first name I came up with was Dave,
Yeah.
and Dave came aboard, and it was 2003. He worked the full year with me, or most of the year, and you know, he fit in like a glove. He knew all the kids. You know, he knew a lot of the situations that were going on with kids that were outside. You know, the stuff that was happening outside. He prevented a lot of stuff. You
Yeah.
know, I can remember he you know, we got to know these kids, but I remember one time he it was I won't get into it, but it was someone he was close with, and
Yeah.
the kid was having a tough day, and thank God Dave was there, because this young man, he's a good young man, but when he had a difficult time, it was tough. It was
Yeah.
tough dealing with him, and Dave was there, and Dave smoothed things all over, and it was so important, you know,
Yeah. It
something
was.
like that, you know. So um, you know, I was blessed to have these guys working with me there, you know, and again, it was a lot of fun, a lot of fun.
Is you know, you definitely um, you know, and I like how you were able to work with three different guys, kind of kept that same team concept. You know, you guys worked together, you talked together, you knew each other, and you know, there was no slacking. Um,
No,
except, yeah,
no, and
so
you know it, Charlie. Like that job, like you know, that job. If you do it the right way, you're working, because you have to make these connections with these young people. You really
true.
do. It's an important job. It's probably one of the most important jobs in this department. You know, you can make such a tremendous difference in a community, um, by being a good school resource officer, man, who is engaged in the community, engaged with your school. You know, we had 3,300 kids there,
Yeah,
probably over 200 staff. You know, that was our beat. You had to get to know these people, you know. And like I'm friends with so many kids today, you know, Facebook friends. I see them. I can't go anywhere in the city. I'm sure you're the same way. You know, you go
yep,
shopping. Hey, Officer Taylor, how you doing?
yeah,
You know, uh, and so it was so important to make these connections, and there was no slacking. You know, it was sadly, you know, when we first started, Charlie, and I'm you know, a lot of this was due to Columbine. You
yeah,
know,
yep,
the school resource program, a lot of the federal money that was coming in was due to, you know, these school shootings that were happening, you know, from Columbine. But what happened, you know, in our city from 2000, 2001 until now, it's still ongoing, was the violence, the street violence between the West End and the South End. And that was what really took up a lot of our time sometimes, you know, trying
hmm,
to trying to stop or trying to make sense of what was going on
true.
with so many young people senselessly dying, um, with this. And it was just it was truly, you know, it's, I don't have the answer to it, why it started, why it's still going on. It's just so senseless, you know. And we saw so many kids devastated, hurt, you know, coming into school the next day after one of their friends, you know, was shot and killed for no reason. You know, we would
Yep,
see the pain and the anger and the anguish, and this affected the school community a lot of
sure did.
times. You know, so it did. You know, Charlie. You know,
Yeah,
it's and it's sadly it's still going on today. You know, it's still going on today, and I wish, I don't know, I wish I did a better job. Maybe I wish it would stop, because there's so many kids that, and parents, and just needlessly, you know,
it's
over anything, you know, for over
yeah,
nothing really, you know.
so true. And some of them don't even realize that, how close they are to the people they're beefing with, and uh, but I always say there's always going to be some relationship that's going to make you go to that certain part of the city that you have conflict with, whether it's a girl,
mm,
whether it's a child you may have with a girl, or
mm,
even a guy, because there's some girls involved in this stuff too. So you gotta, eventually, your life, you get older, then you start making different decisions. You
mm-hmm.
got to go to work. You got to take care of family. Well, guess what? You may be in the West End, and your girl's from the South End. Now, what do you do with that beef? You're trying to
Mm.
squash it as best you can because it's going to affect your family, So, but that's gonna
Yeah,
be that's definitely gonna be something I'm gonna be bringing up later on in another podcast. Gonna get some people together and just talk about stuff like that.
yeah, it'd be great, Charlie. Because like it bought like there's some of those murders really really bothered me. They still bother me to this day.
True.
They really really do because they really affect the fabric of a community. They really they really really there's a ripple effect to it. You
Yeah.
know, there's a ripple effect to it. I went
We,
to a I went to a trial last year, 2 years ago, and I won't name the names or uh, it was the name. The victim was Aaron Gant, and
yeah.
I loved Aaron. Aaron
Yeah.
was a good kid, man.
Sure.
Aaron
What?
was, he was a good kid. I went to school with Raymond, his uncle, and I had him at the high school. And Aaron, he was just he hung around. He was just one of these kids that was there. And Aaron, you got to go. Yeah, Aaron, what are you doing? Oh, I
Yeah.
lost it. And he had that smile on his face the whole time. And he was a really, really good kid.
Sure.
And
What?
when he when he was senselessly, murdered, I went. I had to testify at the trial for some things, and the two young men who were on trial, who were also students that I was familiar with, and what struck me was how sad it was there was no one there for them.
Yeah.
There was no one. That's it. There was no crew, no boys, nobody.
Huh.
And on the other side, it was just Aaron's family. That the day I was there, and a few other friends that were there, and it was just it struck me as like like deep down, the kids who had done this, or the young men who had did this, they ruined their lives also. They're
Yeah.
never going to see outside of a prison, for the next 60 years. And I'm sure to this day they probably, man, like, made one bad decision and the rest of their life is affected. Not only theirs, but also, Aaron's. And again, there's so many examples of how senseless this violence is and how it affects everybody, how many victims there are.
Yeah. We gotta continue to do what we can, talk to people one on
Mm,
one, and just continue to
absolutely, Charlie.
grab them from the group and pull them away and keep doing that because you try to do it in a group, it's just not, it's too much. That peer pressure is so hard. So you got to
Yeah,
do it one on one, and that's how you work the magic, just one on one. Grab this
I
one. All
see.
right, go ahead.
Yep. No, but like you said, but and again, it's not all doom and gloom. There's so many young people, that that were deep in the game that
Yeah,
have gotten themselves out of it,
true.
and a lot of it, a lot of it is just how you grew up, the neighborhood you were in, and the peer pressure is tough, and I see a lot of young people that have got out of the game, and I'll see them out, and I feel proud for them, to be able to change their lives, like, give me a resilient kid any day over a kid that's has a silver spoon, or has had it easy in their lives. Give me a kid that that is resilient, that has overcome adversity, has had so many setbacks in their lives, but they were still coming to school. They were still doing the right thing. They were still trying to make a better life for themselves.
True.
It's just there's a lot of examples. I can list them off, bang, 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 right now, and I'm all proud of them, definitely.
Yeah. We there was one dude, I think you know him, and he caused a lot of problems, South End, West End, and even in Hawaii, this kid named Coco, you know, and so
Coco, Coco from downtown.
surprise, surprise.
What is going on, fella?
Buck Nasty.
What's
How
that?
he got that name?
Buck
And Rob
Nasty?
Mendez and Silky Johnson. Those
Oh my
two are the
God.
most hateful, diabolical haters the east of the Mississippi, man. And start with this one right here, Dave Casaccio, man. I love you, brother, but you a hater.
Man, you got these people fooled. Everybody thinks Steve Tails is a nice guy. Let me tell you something. Now he's the best. He's definitely the best.
Hey, I know you must be eating, right? You got to have a plate in front of you, right?
Well, not yet. No, not yet. It's waiting for me though. I'm at a banquet. I wasn't gonna miss this for nothing in the world. I wasn't gonna miss this for nothing in the world. I'm gonna get yelled at though because I'm supposed to be inside, but I had to step out. I wasn't gonna miss this.
Hey,
It's good to see you, David.
yeah.
My brother. My brothers.
Same here,
Hey, but
man.
I've been listening to the podcast, from the beginning, and what Steve says is it's so true. The lives that man has touched, at the high school with the kids and everything, it's crazy. And there's one thing that I did text that I think he should talk about that a lot of people do not know. What was the first school shooting they had? Remember the big school shooting they had? What town was that in? Steve, I know. Steve, do you know the big school shooting they had? One of the first ones that this country ever kind of affected. What school was that?
Be Columbine, right? Oh, here?
Columbine, correct.
Yeah.
Correct. And I don't know if Steve wants to talk about it because I know that it'd be on him, but I know him and I think Willie, they did a big investigation that prevented a Columbine at New Bedford High School.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know that. And I know, and being Steve the guy he is, I'm almost sure, if I'm not mistaken, they got awards and everything for that from the government, from the federal government, knowing, the investigation and things that they did to prevent that school shooting. This guy had a game plan, everything.
Yeah.
And those guys, not for those guys, there might have been Columbine right at New Bedford High School.
Most definitely. And that was all of our fears for so many years, and so for it to be curbed and definitely that's 5 stars, man. And
Yeah,
once
and you know what? And a lot of it, you hear now, and I understand. Listen, about people may want the police out of schools, and maybe that's a discussion for another day. I don't even want to go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
But it is so important to make connections. Communication is the most important thing in anything, really. Being able to communicate with people. And what happened with that situation was I happened to know one of the young ladies before she even came to the school. I had known her when I was on patrol. And so I had a vague, understanding of her. But also Miss Jupin, a teacher who had a connection with the young lady, she was very instrumental in talking with these young people, with this young lady, and was able to help, prevent something like this. There was a plan. Again, we don't know for what would have happened, but there was a plan.
Yeah.
There was 2 firearms missing that had been stolen. We're thankful. We're thankful and grateful that nothing did happen. So, yeah, that was a long time ago. That's 2001. That was like
Yeah.
we had only been in the school a couple months when that happened. So yeah, we again thankful. And what's amazing is like New Bedford High School. I'm a whaler. I went to New Bedford High School. We all went to New Bedford High School. That's my school. When I went there, I had so much pride as an officer. But then those were my kids. I wanted to protect them. But I was a whaler. I love New Bedford High School, and that's why it was so important and I was so lucky to have kind of like eased into that situation or I never wanted to take a promotional exam after that. It wasn't about the work. It was about the work. It wasn't about being promoted or anything like that. I liked doing what I did, and I like doing what I do now. And I was fine with that. I thought it was more important for me personally, and not to take anyway, much respect to people who go and go for rank and things like that. But for me, it was about like, I liked the work I was doing. I thought I was more useful doing that,
Good. It I'm glad we all had that time, including Dave's short time, you know. But even though Dave had bounced around different positions, he was still in touch with you guys. He was still kind of, involved with the school or the kids, So, but there's just something about that title, and I tell everybody that that was the highlight of my career, because of some of the things I learned, some of the relationships I have, and I always said I would write a book called Middle School Lies, because you knew you got a story from one kid, another kid, and I just wanted to basically bring all that stuff out, and I'll have to kind of crack open that box and start writing one day. But those are some cherished moments for me. So, and but Steve, I want you to talk about the golf
Yeah, I
course.
learned a lot from you, Charlie, too.
Oh, thank you. And
Well, before wait a minute.
I think
Before we get to the golf course, I just want to talk
What'd you
about
say?
one more thing, if I could. That Steve Taylor, he talked about his running and how he goes on these ultra marathons and things like that. I just want to say one thing about Steve being a little inspirational. Charlie, everybody knows I run from block to block.
Mhm.
This guy got me to do 2 5Ks. All right, and one of them he ran ahead of me, but then I caught up to him and he crossed the finish line with me, on one of them. But this guy got me to run 2 5Ks, and everybody knows. Like, if you look at Steve and the well-deserving tattoo that he has about one of his ultra marathons,
Mhm.
I'm gonna bring the golf course into. I got sick of going to golf courses, and we'd be sitting there, and the people would see it, and they go, "You ran 100 miles," and I would sit there. So I ran a 5K. So what's going on? Like. So you want me to get a tattoo? You want me to get a tattoo saying I ran a 5K? Man, it was sickening. But that man ran 100 miles for something he believed in.
Yeah.
That says a lot about the man.
Yeah.
But
Charlie,
on that note, we are going to have another podcast, Charlie. We're going to schedule it now because I got to get back inside, or I'm going to have to sleep at Steve's house tonight
All
if
right.
I don't get back inside the banquet. But listen, we're going to have another podcast where, we all know Steve. Steve got introduced. Definitely the man got medals of honor. But we're gonna bring out the real Steve. The next podcast when we're all on there, we're going to invite Robbie Mendes, Steve Taylor, and Willie Coates. And I
Yes.
guarantee you that'll be one of your most highest rated shows.
There's no doubt. No doubt.
the round table.
Round
The
table.
round table. Yeah, that's what we'll call it, the round table.
Yeah.
But
Dave,
the
I'm going
people that are listening to this
talk to him
podcast,
about Nasty Christmas, okay?
definitely you can do that. That's another thing. That's a whole nother. Charlie, you need 2 hours. But listen, the people that are listening to this podcast right now that are watching, I don't know, but you have 2 great people right there. Listen to what they're saying, because a lot of stuff that Steve's talking about is a subject of today's controversy, if you would. But now you're going to get it straight from the horse's mouth right there, how it really is.
Yep.
Going. Hey, I love you both.
Love you too, bro.
Charlie,
Love you
keep the
too,
reins
David.
on him. Don't let him slick you one, because he'll slip one in there.
I'm good. I'm being good today, David.
Yeah, he is. He's being good. I got to test to him plenty of times. I know he's being good today. All right,
I
brother.
think I lost you guys for a second. Hey,
Yeah.
send Robbie the link. Let Robbie get in. Robbie will continue.
All right.
Hey, you guys, my brothers. Talk
Where
soon.
you at? Central Kitchen?
No.
Man, they closed down, man. That's the don't say that. See? I miss that place so much, though.
Charlie, he's
Right,
going to get the
later.
meatloaf plate tonight, man. He's at the door thinking he get a meatloaf plate. He thought it was fish and chips night.
Yeah. Hey,
That day,
you
man.
know, you got to get back in there. You got to get to that table,
Ah, I'll
because
tell you what, Charlie. Again, I think laughter is the best medicine. They talk about it all the time, and we talk about the golf course, and like when I get together with him, Rob Mendes, and and other guys, and it's just it brightens your day. That
yeah,
laughter that we have, that genuine laughter, that genuine love that we have for each other. Those two right there, like there's something else. Like Rob, I love Dave. Dave's my boy. Dave's one of the most respected men in New Bedford.
yep,
One of the most respected men in this department. Rob Mendes, probably one of the most respected men in New Bedford. Like
yeah,
people talk about, hey, Rob Mendes. Oh, hey, Rob Mendes. That's
yeah,
Rob Mendes. Let me tell you something about Rob Mendes. That Rob Mendes is a silent assassin. Okay, man.
yeah. Well,
he's quiet. He's quiet, but that man, oh my God, what a sense of humor on him, man. I'll just leave
yeah,
it at that, and we'll leave it for the barbershop, Charlie, later on.
that's
Okay,
it.
that man will cut you and slice you and dice you.
I I'll always defend Rob. For the dude is just
Ah,
he's just unbelievable, unbelievable, and I've known him all my life, and for anybody to talk about him, really don't know him, don't have one
no, man.
ounce, don't have no knowledge of him whatsoever. But he's a good dude.
No, there's
However,
so many.
I know he can what's it called, capping? I guess I don't know. I forget what the kids say, but anyways,
Captain, yeah.
yeah,
Oh, yeah. He's.
Rob,
Oh man, he's too much. But listen, I have so much. Just think of, Christ. I was playing in the Bay State League when he was coaching. Then, that's early '80s. He was
yeah,
coaching Verdian Vets, and just think of how many people, how many kids he's touched and made a difference in their lives. Like thousands. And every community needs that. Everybody needs a community needs that. People who aren't just talking the talk, but are walking the walk, that are doing the actual work, that are making the lives of some of these kids that much better. I have so much respect for Rob. No doubt.
the you you actually have inspired so many people yourself, and I definitely know that you were an inspiration for your younger brother,
Mm.
Et. And it's growing up, I think he was still in school when you started, right?
Uh, yeah. So he was young when I started on the job. Yeah, he was young. He
Yeah,
was
yeah,
average 10 years younger than me. So,
that's right, that's
um,
right. Yeah,
yeah, he was in '92. Christ, he must have been 13 years old. So, yeah, yeah,
I
we've been very close, very close.
yeah, that's good. He's I still enjoy talking to him. I see him. Um, we talked about it yesterday, where we had in conversation on the job, and then I had conversation with you, and he said, "Hey," and you said, "Hey, Charlie, my father used to call him a soup sandwich." Hey, so hey, but
Ah, damn. Ah,
hey, the thing is
Uh,
I love. I mean, I like to watch your brother when he's playing baseball. And I mean, the dude, he did it. He did all right for himself.
yeah.
And even you guys, you were doing your thing with sports. You played in a couple of basketball tournaments for me way back when. We had a good time. You know, you mentioned Rob. Rob opened the facilities for me. The boys club. Um, so, but I just want to let you know that even though you might have not been trying to mentor anybody, but you actually was, and one person is your brother. So
Mm.
it's at least started that long ago that you continued to do, and that's definitely probably you know due to your parents. And by the way, how's mom's, man? How's she doing?
She's okay. She's all right. She's having some struggles here and there, but she's doing okay. She's tough, man. Mom
Good.
is a tough woman, that's for sure. So yeah, but thank you
Yeah.
for asking, Charlie.
All right.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Yeah.
No doubt. The the I actually wanted to kind of do what we were talking about, this round table, this barbershop thing with all of us, only because I think it's good. You talked about it, you touched on it earlier about laughter. Laughter is so important, and it especially with the job that we have, and it I did have. You need that. And a lot of people don't understand some of the way I might have policed things or you police
Hmm.
things. But all in all, we all understand each other. We know the job's got to get done, and I could say for one that there's a lot of things that I would do if you asked me that I wouldn't even do for some of my relatives. I
Mm.
just want to say that you call me anytime and I'll be there. Only because you're a good dude. You always had my respect, and I hope you continue to do what you're doing. And you know, I think the service got you running, and I'm glad they got you running.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah,
Charlie, real quick, I know we're up against it, but I just wanted to, again, I have nothing but respect for you, Charlie, and it's something I learned as a young, coming on the job. I always remembered the people who treated me. When you first get on and you get that hazing or rookie stuff or whatever. I learned a lot from you, Charlie. I learned a
thank you,
lot from like guys like Paul Rosario, Daryl Montero. Some of these guys, when I first came on, I learned a lot from. One, probably most importantly, how to treat people. How to
yeah,
do the
yeah,
job the right way. You know, but two, like how to treat your fellow officers. And
sure,
not to big time them or anything like that. And that was something I always remembered about you, Charlie. Even
thank
before I got on the job, we would play hoop and stuff like that. You know who we were, who I was, but that was something I always remembered. And it's something you and the likes of who did the same thing for me. It's something I do now to younger officers that coming on. I always make sure that I try to be available. I try to be um, outgoing. Hey, you need something, this and that. No big timing or anything like that. And
you.
that's due to the officers that came before me. People like you, Charlie. I got nothing but love for you and nothing but respect for you, Charlie.
Love back.
And I appreciate you.
That goes right to you, right back to you, man. I love you. Definitely a class act. Um, Numerous times we've been together working different things, and I've seen you in action.
Mm,
I've seen you calm down so many different situations, and that's what it's about. And it all kind
mm,
of goes, believe it or not, police work comes back to how you were taught to speak to people. Common
mm-hmm,
sense. You have that common sense. Steve, you always had that common sense. No matter what situation, what call you were on, there was a common sense. And if you
mm.
keep that, if you keep that in the back of your mind, um, with every situation, chances are you're going to prevail. It's going to come out the best way possible. Some situations it can, but got to keep our common sense. And you're a man with common sense, and a whole lot of respect. So keep on doing what you're doing. I remember the well, you had two boxes, right? You know,
Yeah, I got
and
two. I got three of them right now looking at me. They're like,
yeah,
"Hey, who's this dude you talking to on the damn iPad, man?" They're like, "Let's
who's
go outside."
yeah,
So
who's
yeah,
the
so
what was the two
dogs are a big
originals?
part of my life, man. So
What was the name of the two original ones you had?
Dempsey dog and Bo.
Oh, that's the one I
So
remember. Yep.
Dylan, come here, Dylan. Dylan, come here. You want to say hi to Uncle Charlie? Come here. Come here, Dylan. Come on. Get up here. Come on.
Hey, look at
You
that
say
face.
hi? Who was that, huh? They're like,
Damn,
okay, son. All
I
right, now
love
we're
it.
getting John. So
I love it.
that's
um,
Bodie. That was Bodie. That wasn't Dylan. Dylan's the other one. So
yeah.
all right.
So,
All right, Charlie.
hey, before you go, I mean,
Hey.
three people, the obvious three
Right.
people you said, will be on this podcast. But who would you like to see on this podcast?
Hold on for 1 second. Hey, enough. Sorry, Charlie. So say
It's
that
all right.
again.
Who would you like to see on the Really Charlie podcast? Other
Oh,
than, our friends, our mutual
mm,
three right here.
oh man. I wish you
Anybody.
would given. You know what, Charlie? I'm gonna have to get like. Oh boy,
Yeah.
there's so many. There's so many people. You talk about community wise. Um, oh
No,
man,
you could think about it.
Joe Neves from Denison. Man, his whole life has been giving back to the community and giving back to
We
the kids there.
we had him on.
Joe,
He was on
huh?
there. Him and
Oh, he
Sean
was.
was in it. Yeah.
Oh man, so you got good taste, kid. I'll get back to you, Charlie. There's
All
so
right.
many people. You know what? Like, there's people talk about like there is apathy in New Bedford. Sadly, there is some apathy, but there are so many people out there that are doing the right thing, that are
Yeah.
really really helping this community. I love New Bedford. I still live here.
Me too. Me too.
Um, I love my city. Sometimes you're a little down on it or what have you, but there are so many people in this community that are trying to make a better community for everybody. So I'll get back to you on that, Charlie.
All right. I appreciate it.
All right,
Um,
pal.
you need me, give me a holler, and God bless you and the family, man.
Thanks for having me, Charlie.
All right, Steve. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Good night, buddy.
Good night, brother. All right. This is wow, great dude, great man, Steven Taylor. Definitely one of my all-time favorite people. He's uh he's definitely involved. He's done so many things for countless people, whether friends, family, or strangers. And I've seen him in action. Uh, really, truly appreciate it. Um, this podcast was really something that we were trying to do for a while, and then me and another one of my friends, mutual friends with Steve, we were just like, we got to get him on here, man. We got to get him on here. Steve is he's got tremendous stories. He's definitely things that people should hear, and just trying to give him praise while he's standing those flowers. We're giving flowers out to people that deserve it, and there's so many people I'm gonna miss, when I'm giving out these flowers. But I just want to make sure that I definitely had Steven Taylor on this podcast. There's and he's gonna continue to amaze us constantly. This show would have been awesome with one of our friends, our mutual friends that passed away, and that was Tacky. Tacky was he was huge to all of us, and I would have loved to have him on the show, talking to Steve and just sharing stories. Even Dave was on it, uh, got Jack Indios on here, Tacky was huge to all of us. And it would have been great to have him on here to see Steve and just praise him, because he had nothing but good words to say about Steven. So, all right, y'all, keep watching the Really Charlie podcast. It's on StreamYard, Anchor, Spotify, Facebook, and YouTube. Continue to watch it. I'm trying to get on there as much as possible. We have quite a few shows coming up. Um, None this weekend, but we'll start off on Monday with another one. Great show coming up, with the Burials House on Maple Street, and it's got a lot of history in it. We're going to do that. We have some more barbershop segments with Randy Valley, Chris Bowler, Paul Rosario Senior. Let's see, a few more things here. Uh, so we got Randy, Chris, Paul Rosario. Um, then we got some healthcare workers coming on the 17th. Still waiting for them to reach out to me. And on the 19th, which is going to be a good one, another barbershop segment with Nathan Victor, Frank Miranda, and Robert Davis. So that's going to be nice. And it just goes on throughout the month. Might miss a day or two here, but I definitely try to keep the podcast going. Getting a lot of support out there, and I thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right, y'all. Stay blessed. And be well. Have a very, very safe weekend. And good night. Take care.